This is Golf with Jay Delsing. A two-time All-American at UCLA. Competed in nearly 700 PGA Tour events, 7 professional wins to his credit. Over 30 years of professional golf experience. A member of the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame and the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. This is Golf with Jay Delsing. It's time to tee it up. News from the world of golf. We're on the range with Jay and Dan.
Welcome into Golf with Jay Delsing on this Sunday morning on 101 ESPN. We have taken the CarShield Studios on the road. We're at ELV8 Golf located in Lake St. Louis. One of our guests will be Kyle Laramie. He is the owner of ELV8 Golf, and you've heard us talk so much about ELV8 Golf throughout the last few Sundays and months, talking about what this can do for the young golfer in particular, so we'll get into that. Also, Karen Stupples will be our guest. 3 worldwide wins, 2 on the LPGA Tour, and the winner of the 2004 Women's British Open. So that should be fun. Jay has a chance to sit down with her. But first of all, Jay, welcome to ELV8 Golf.
It's pretty cool out here, isn't it? We've been talking about ELV8 Golf. It's about time we got our butts on the road and got out here and visited Kyle and his team. You get in here and it's like, where are my clubs? You know what I mean? And this is just super cool. It's the most welcoming environment you can get into. And I mean, if you love golf or you want to get better at golf, you like hanging out, it's a great place.
So how would you describe this to the golfers out there?
Yeah, so it's like walking into this kind of golf playground because there's my favorite part. I love all the tech, but my favorite part is the short game area. And as you walk in the door, short game area is in back to the right a little bit because there's a real sand bunker in a green. It's got elevation. It's got just little swales. It's just super cool. And short game is kind of my specialty or my real love. And man, it's just not easy to find places that you can work on their game like that. And ELV8's got it. It's really, really fun.
All right, talking more about ELV8 Golf throughout the show, I want to get into some big news this past week on the PGA Tour, really nationwide, worldwide, was the fact that Keegan Bradley is going to be the captain of the Ryder Cup team for Team USA. What'd you think?
I wasn't completely surprised with Tiger doing all the hemming and hawing. I mean, they wanted Tiger to be the actually before Liv came around, Danny. This was Phil Mickelson's captaincy to have. Obviously, that's not an option because of Liv, but then they were thinking, well, maybe this should be Tiger with all the stuff that he's going through. Now he's on the policy board. It's got the PIF thing, and so he just, for whatever reason. You know how much I love Tiger, but for whatever reason, Tiger in the Ryder Cup, it just doesn't, I don't want to say a priority, but it just doesn't mean, let's put it this way. What it means to Keegan Bradley and what it means to Tiger Woods are 2 entirely different things. And I think, I know Keegan bleeds red, white, and blue. I know he does. And I hope that, I hope that he's able to try to figure this whole thing out. And man alive, Danny, I want him to get all over the Liv players. I can just tell you right now, DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka need to be on that team. And I know we're, a year and a half away? Maybe more. We need them on the team.
And he said he's going to be boots on the ground. He's going to go to Liv events, watch how guys are playing. And I think that's awesome. We need to see the Liv players a part of this. PGA of America did their part with the PGA Championship and kind of showing you the blueprint to welcome in the best players, to have the best players in the world,
Absolutely.
Which includes Liv players. And I wonder if they'll take a page out of that, if Keegan Bradley will, and say, I'm not looking at Liv, not looking at the PGA Tour, I'm looking at the best players we can take.
Absolutely. Let's get the best players. I mean, here's what's interesting, D. He's not that far off from qualifying himself.
Wouldn't that be something?
It's going to really be interesting to see what his game looks like now that he's got this. I was reading about this morning, and I've read about it all week long. He said he didn't have one conversation with the PGA of America prior to this one informing him he was captain. And I went, what?
Yeah.
So it came that much out of the
him?
blue.
I don't know if I believe him on that one.
Why
How
would he
not
make
know?
that? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. So it was kind of a head scratcher. So it's really going to be interesting to see what this does for him and his game. So I would say, Danny, probably, what are we, in the middle of July? So probably I'd say we've got until maybe February to watch Keegan and see where he's not going to have a massive amount of responsibilities physically, but Danny, mentally, his brain's got to be, I don't know if the kid slept.
Let's talk about that. What are the responsibilities for the next year and a half? It's got to be a ton of media. If he's playing in events, it's always going to be brought up. That, I would think, would wear down a player.
Oh, it does, no question. I mean, it is super, super challenging, especially for a player's game. That's why you've never seen anyone in the modern era try to be a captain and play. I mean, it's just way too much. It's become such an event that the media stuff alone and trying to organize all of the events that go around it, the meals, the dinners, the ceremony, the pomp, the circumstance, all that. When we were over in Italy and Marco Simone, you saw, hell, Danny, it was like an election or something. It was so crazy popular with all the fans and in the Italian sports fans. That's the first time the Ryder Cup's ever been held in Italy. So it's a lot. It doesn't ramp up until probably March-ish, where it's really, really going to be significant. But, Keegan's going to have to keep an eye on everything and kind of keep it in the back of his mind, and it's a lot to juggle.
If he made the team, how much of a distraction would that be, to be the captain of the team but also trying to play in the event?
So if he made that team, he would absolutely have to distinguish like a de facto captain, someone that's going to have everything spelled out and that's going to be able to execute. This guy or gal is going to have to execute what he wants done. I don't even know if I want to see that happen. I love seeing Keegan on the team. I thought, I'm not a massive fan of the Netflix, what's it called?
Full Swing.
Full Swing. But I did love getting behind the curtain with, when Zach kind of went with the Old Boys Network, he had Ricky and he did JT and all those guys. And then when he called Keegan, that was just ripping out his heart.
It was gut-wrenching to watch.
It was tough. I think you and I watched that together, and I was like, man, that Keegan Bradley, you just gutted him. How about him having his suitcase still packed?
Yes.
From the last time that he played, the red, white, and blue, it's got his name on it. So I hope he can take that kind of energy and that kind of passion, Danny, and get it organized. The problem is, none of these guys have ever run anything, Danny. They've never run a business. It's really basically all about them and their families, and oftentimes their agents take care of 99% of all of the grunt work and all that sort of stuff. Their wives are running the show at home, and they're just really trying to play golf. So this is a lot, I think. And I love Zach Johnson. I think when I look back at Zach Johnson in the last Ryder Cup, we looked really disorganized. He looked kind of overwhelmed. I hate to say that, but he really did. And then when you think about what transformed in the way we played, I mean, you cannot come out flat. And to not have any of our guys playing any sort of competitive golf for 5 weeks, I think Brooks Koepka was the only guy on the team that had played any sort of meaningful golf. Maybe JT as well snuck something in there. But you can't do that. And basically the competition was over after the first day.
And I would say that he has to take a page out of the Euros and how they approach that with camaraderie, with the team meals, by going over early to play in Rome, which the United States team did not do. The Americans did not do. This is Bethpage Black, so you should be able to get some of the guys together and say, let's go play. Let's get together. Let's take a week and go over the course. Let's do all the things, the little things, the details that we have to do going into a Ryder Cup.
100%. I mean, one of the things that the U.S. does, Danny, that drives me crazy that the Euros do such a better job on two fronts. First of all, they invoke all of their old champions. They've got Jose Maria Olazabal talking about Seve, what it meant to them, and all that passionate camaraderie that they had in the room. And listen, there's a bunch of huge personalities that are sideways over there. Nick Faldo, and you know,
sure,
it could go anyway, but they were able to unite for 1 week and get common focused and do that. And the other thing is, the powers that be, the Euros do a better job on course selection. We're choosing Bethpage Black. Now, it's going to be a spectacle because it's in New York. The fans will be rowdy as hell.
They're going to be wild.
And it will be so fun to watch. And maybe you and I will go.
I would love to do that.
I know. So we'll
Your
talk about that.
Let's go.
We'll talk about that later. But the bigger thing is the U.S. side has no home course advantage because the Euros have played there just as often as the tour players. It's a massive miss. But that's just what they do.
Keegan Bradley talked about looking at analytics. I want to ask you quickly, what are the analytics in golf? What are you looking at that would make him take a player and say, wow, I was looking at the analytics, and that puts him over the edge over player X?
Yeah, absolutely. So the analytics are going to – well, there's multiple places he can go to, but more than likely, Danny, he's going to be looking at the strokes gained formula and that whole system. And I just read something recently that ShotLink is the company that we use at the PGA Tour to accumulate all the shots and all that data. And they just went over 1 billion with a B strokes.
That's amazing.
It is absolutely amazing. And so Keegan Bradley's going to look at everything. He's going to look at who are the best iron players, who are the best drivers of the ball, who are the best putters, who does well, who's got a great history in match play, what's their Ryder Cup record look like, what does it look like, what do they play like in September. All those things matter. There will not be any stone unturned. It's just a matter of trying to get the players together that gel and play well together and are playing well at the time. I mean, when I look back at the fact that our buddy Lucas Glover wasn't on that last Ryder Cup team, and he was the best player in the world at the time.
He was red hot. Remember, he'd won a couple of events and doesn't get invited. That was shocking to me.
Shocking to me. And then you had someone like JT who didn't even make the playoffs.
Right.
You know, so, and I get how JT's vocal, he's emotional, and you also had Ricky who was having a resurgence, but, you know, so a lot of things just didn't go well. We didn't play well. That's all there is to it.
How many LIV players do you think will be a part of this? DeChambeau has got to be.
Right.
Koepka's got to be.
Well,
you know who I'd love to see, but he probably won't be, is P. Reed, because I'd love to see a villain in there, and he's Captain America.
It's always great to have a villain, especially when he's on your side.
Exactly.
He's getting under the skin of the other team.
And that's where I'm going. Would you take a guy like that you know is going to be an emotional leader, get the crowd fired up? The crowd's going to be awesome anyway, but if you get a guy like that that's a villain on your side, that would be fun to watch.
And I totally agree, and I would love to. What kind of form has he had? You know, he's really been invisible in the golf world for the last year and a half outside of a nice Masters tournament, not this year. But here's the other thing you got to remember. As it sits right now, the LIV players for the Euro side are out.
Right.
So that
not
means
a part of it.
John Rahm.
Yes.
Tyrrell Hatton. That's a big, that is a massive loss. You got to remember, they kind of passed the torch last year. Danny Sergio Garcia is gone. Ian Poulter, Lee Westwood. These guys have been stalwarts for 25 years. They've moved on because of LIV and that sort of thing. I think, and you know, I'm on the sunny side of the street, whether you like it or not. I'm hoping that there's a deal done by then and that we're going to work this out, because I'm going to tell you, you know how much I want the red, white, and blue to win, but I want John Rahm to have his ass on the losing side. I want him to play with Rory, and I want us to whip their butts. That's what I want.
Do you think it would put pressure to have a merger prior to the Ryder Cup? Do you think that even matters? I don't. I think it comes down to money.
It does. It's all. This is when it stops being about the money. Just go back to the money.
Yeah.
This is only about money, and it's It's just actually disgusting. I got to tell you, are we going to talk about the amateur, the young man that just had 2 top 10 finishes?
Well, I was going to go that later in the show,
cool.
but that's a tease, though.
No, we could, yeah, so cool, because he had the best comment that I wish every one of the LIV players would listen to, and we'll tease that for later in the show.
Karen Stupples is coming up. Again, 3 worldwide wins, 2 on the LPGA Tour, the winner of the 2004 Women's British Open. She'll sit down with Jay. Kyle Laramie, owner of ELV8 Golf, where we're at today. We'll stop on by and we'll talk about what ELV8 Golf can do for any golfer that's out there, and it should be a lot of fun. More news and notes coming up later in the show, but first, let's tip our cap, and we're going to tip our cap right here, ELV8 Golf, and what they're doing for really the golf community here in the St. Louis area.
Hang on a minute. I'm going to go hit a few balls and
I
come
bet
back
you
for
will.
the tip of the cap. Yeah, no, we're tipping our cap to the ELV8 Golf team out at Lake St. Louis, and the tip of the cap is brought to you by the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood and our buddy Colin Byrne. 314-966-0303. Colin can get you any sort of vehicle, and most importantly, he'll treat you like family. All right, folks, we're running the show out at ELV8 Golf. They've been a big part of the show for months and months now, but you got to come out and check this out. I don't care if your handicap's in the 30s or you're a scratch. There is something out here for everyone. You're going to get treated. You're going to love the way that Zach Conlon and the team out here treat you. Tyler Lowenstein is this big, huge, athletic teddy bear that runs the
teddy bear to you.
The fitness, yeah.
He's a little intimidating.
He's just a great guy. So there's something for everybody. There's some part of everyone's game that can improve by coming out to ELV8 Golf. So no one's above it. No one's and the other thing is, Danny, we should say this because I think there's so many women and so many other listeners that are just a little bit intimidated. This place will disarm that for you. Kyle has assembled a team that is just so friendly. They're easygoing guys. No high-pressure sales or anything like that for you to join. It's just like, I guarantee you, if you came in here and wanted to check it out, Kyle's got to let you hit some balls and get on the track, man, and just take it for a spin. See what you think.
That is our tip of the cap.
Yeah, and then thanks to Dean Team Volkswagen for supporting the show and for sponsoring the tip of the cap. And it's Colin Byrne, and the number is 314-966-0303. And it's Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood.
Tips later in the show. Also, more news and notes around the PGA Tour. Karen Stupples is coming up, and this is Golf with Jay Delsing from ELV8 Golf.
That was On the Range. Up next, we'll head to the front 9. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Doherty Business Solutions.
Doherty Business Solutions has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year right out of high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year right after high school graduation. That's when they begin their training. CEO Ron Daugherty believes the talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. So here's Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. It's Daugherty Business Solutions.
Get ready to watch the legends of golf up close when they compete at historic Norwood Hills Country Club right here in St. Louis. The Ascension Charity Classic will be back again with some of golf's greatest names. Steve Stricker, Padraig Harrington, John Daly, David Duval, Bernard Longer, Justin Leonard, David Toms, and more will compete returning September 3rd through the 8th. Visit AscensionCharityClassic.com for information.
Are you driving an out-of-warranty car? It's only a matter of time before your out-of-warranty vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. Auto repair costs are up nearly 20% from last year, which is 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is just over 3 years old, it's still prone to expensive costs. Your car is more than just getting you from point A to point B. Traveling by car is a way of life. From picking up your kids to going to a new restaurant, cars are a daily essential. When you enroll in a car protection plan through CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file, or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers protection plans that start as low as $100 per month. That's $100 per month. They have repair coverage for up to 5,000 different parts of your vehicle. Plus, when your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, you get 24/7 coast-to-coast roadside assistance. You also get complimentary towing and rental car options. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down, and they can have yours too. Call CarShield today at 800-465-6550 or visit carshield.com. It's CarShield, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Hi, this is Peter Jacobson, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
I'm delighted to welcome the Amateur Players Tour to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. The APT team has worked so hard to establish a national golf tour for amateurs. Folks, don't miss out on this opportunity. If you love golf and ever wondered what all the fuss about tournament golf is, then this tour is for you. We just released the 2024 schedule, and it is a beast. There's 21 events currently in the metropolitan St. Louis area, with many more to come. But check out these golf courses: Paynes Valley, Ozark National, Stonewolf, Ambrier, Persimmon Woods, Gateway National, and a 36-hole event on Norwood's West Course, and many more. Okay, so the courses are certainly cool and nice, but what's really neat is the way the events are run and how they are run. The APT team does a fantastic job of closely monitoring handicaps and ensuring a good and fair competition. There are 5 divisions, a year-long points competition, major championships, elevated events, and much, much more. Right now, there are over 6,000 members in 41 different local chapters across the country, and all that's happened in just over 5 years. Join now and don't miss out on the best tournament golf in the country, run for amateurs by amateurs themselves. Go to amateurplayerstour.com. That's amateurplayerstour.com.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing, brought to you by CarShield and Doherty Business Solutions. Every Sunday morning from 8 to 10. It features top guests, tips from a PGA Tour player, and the latest news and notes from around the world of golf. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
Are you tired of watching your golf scores go up every year? Despite new equipment and even a couple lessons, you still fight that slice or your inability to get that ball up and down out of the bunker? Well, get ready to experience better golf with ELV8 Golf. At ELV8 Golf, we're changing the way golfers practice with our innovative and data-driven approach to learning and, most importantly, improving. We have an array of membership options where you can find the perfect fit for your golf, your lifestyle, and your budget. Whether you start in our full-service gym, the short game area that has real sand bunker, or one of our 7 TrackMan simulator bays, the team at ELV8 Golf will do a complete assessment of you and your game, which is crucial because if you don't know where you're starting from, it's nearly impossible to attain a goal or a new level. Call us today at 636-265-0557 or visit us at elv8golf.com. That's ELV8golf.com. Contact us today and get ready to play better golf.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing. The Front Nine is presented by the Ascension Charity Classic. To find out more, visit ascensioncharityclassic.com.
I am sitting down this morning with Karen Stupples. Karen, thanks so much for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
So, gosh, we just had the 20-year anniversary of your major championship victory at Sunningdale, the 2004 Women's Open Championship. I just wanted to the listeners to get to know you a little bit. You played almost 15 years on the U.S. Tour. Mm-hmm. You're from England. Tell us how you started in the game, Karen, please.
So going all the way back to the very beginning, I remember asking my dad for pocket money one day, and he said, well, you don't get anywhere in life without working for it. So you can either do the washing up for your mother every night, or you can come and caddy for me. So I went to the golf course. I thought, well, that's an easy option, really. I mean, every night washing up or caddy for my dad. I'm like, okay, I'll just go do the caddying. So I went with my dad, and I would pull his cart around. I wasn't made to carry his bag or anything. I was only 11. But I pulled his cart around the golf course, and I was always swishing around with the clubs, and I was always pretty athletic in sport. He did every single sport I could in school. And he looked at me and he said, would you like to try and play golf? I said, sure. So he basically said that he doesn't know enough about it. He had a 18 handicap at the time. And he said, I'll book you in with the local pro, and we'll get you some lessons. And so every Saturday morning, the assistant pro would have group junior lessons. So for £1, I would go and stand on the driving range and hit balls and learn the basics. And I did end up with a soda and a bar of candy, all for £1 and a lesson. And then after the lesson, my dad said, well, now you've had a lesson, you need to go practice. So I went to practice, and that's when I really started to fall in love with the game, was the challenge. It was about hitting it higher and farther, and just trying to get more out of the next shot than the last one gave me. So that was the fun part of it for me.
That is super cool. Karen, was there a time where you can look back and remember, like, oh my gosh, maybe you hit a shot, or maybe you hold a putt or something, and you're like, oh, I can't wait to do this again?
I think it was the first time. So on the practice ground where we used to line up and do our junior lessons, it was an old grassed over bunker. So it was you could tell it was a bunker. It was the shape, but it had grass in it. And initially it was probably only about, I'd say, maybe 50 yards ahead of me, and to carry it might have been 70 yards. And it was always my goal was to get the ball into the bunker, But, I'm only 11, get it into the bunker. And then all of a sudden I started to hit the ball up in the air and into the bunker. And so it was up in the, and then my next goal was to get it up and over the bunker. And as soon as I could get the ball up and over the bunker, that was it. It was a game changer.
It's interesting, isn't it? But it's so fun and important to watch yourself improve. I mean, there's something about that where you're like, oh, I can keep getting better.
I think that's the biggest thing for me with golf, and throughout my whole career, it was always about self-improvement. And I think when I played my best golf in my career, it was never about even winning. I think it was about hitting quality shots that I really wanted to hit, and seeing, what I had envisioned in my mind as the shot was what was coming out off the golf club, and the pureness of strike and how it felt coming off the club face. I think that's really what I craved and what I was addicted to more than the actual winning itself.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, because when I get to talk to some of the people when you're young and you're competing, you never really think to ask those questions. But then as we age and you're like, I wonder what, drove that person. Everybody's kind of got a little different vibe that, that kind of kept them going.
Exactly. And I although, people that know me say I'm probably as a most competitive person they know. But I think when it comes to golf, I think you have to channel that competitiveness into a way that works for you to get the most out of it. And for me, it was all about the internal battle and the internal competition that I faced with myself.
As we look at your career, you turned pro, I think, in 1998, and I think the next year you came over and played in the States. But talk a little bit about the university. You went to Florida State, and you also went to Arkansas State, I think.
I did. So when I was young, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I was going to be any good at golf, and I just wasn't sure what direction I was going in. But one of the lady members of my club was a player called Helen Wadsworth, and she had come out to America on a golf scholarship. She played at Wake Forest, and she was kind of the role model for me to do that, because I thought, well, if Helen can come do it, and it is a viable option. And it was just starting to gain popularity when I was young about coming out to America, and I really needed to escape the rat race of the transition from junior golf to senior golf in the UK. And I thought, what better place to do it than to go out to America? Plus, I wanted to be independent and do my thing, as most teenagers do. And so I didn't know anything about America. I'd never been over here, and so I joined an agency, and they sent my resume to all the Division I schools. And I had a really good amateur career. I played for England. I played for Great Britain. I had a +4 or +5 handicap at the time, and so I got a lot of responses. But they all wanted me to start the following year, because all the scholarships had been given away, and we didn't have very much money growing up, so I needed a full scholarship. So because I'd left it late and I'm impatient, I took an option from Arkansas State, and they were fantastic. I went to Jonesboro, Arkansas. Bear in mind, this is the first time I'd ever been to America. Sight unseen. I fly into Memphis, and I end up in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Now,
Wow.
it was a little cold. I mean, this is quite some time ago now, and I think Arkansas State has grown up significantly since I was there. But I made some great friends, and one of which was the men's golf coach, Neil Abel. And I said to him coming to the end of my first year, I said, Coach, I said, I really need to move on. I said, I don't know if I can be released, because I was winning tournaments shooting 77s, and I knew that I was better than that, and I wanted better competition. And he said, we really appreciate you coming here. Of course, we'll release you. We just want you to do well. And so I had a friend who went to Florida State, and I said, hey, do you think there might be room on your team for one more? And she said, let me find out. And so that's how I ended up at Florida State, and did a couple of years there, and it really was the making of my golf game, was coming over here to college to America, because it really did open my eyes to the fact that there was an LPGA tour, and that in actual fact, I did have potential for making a living at the game of golf.
I just can't imagine the culture shock. I mean, America is one thing. Jonesboro, I've actually been to Jonesboro, and it's quite a shock. This is Golf with Jay Delsing, and I'm visiting with Karen Stupples. Karen, we look at your career, and it took you a few years to kind of get comfortable. I can kind of see similarities in my career, and then in 2002. Things started moving and shaking for you. And then 2004, man alive, you almost made $1 million on the LPGA Tour. And that's in 2004, mind you. You guys weren't playing for a lot of money back then.
No. I mean, it was so funny, because it was all about the journey of self-improvement. And I think that some of the best golfers are their own worst critic, or the best critic. Like they're able to look at their games objectively and say, okay, which of the areas of my games do I need to work on? How do I need to improve? What is it? What do I need to do to get to the next level of my game? And I think for me, a couple of things happened. I mean, obviously the first few years, you're just trying to find your feet, and you're assessing the competition, and you're seeing what everybody else does. And you're like, okay, I'm definitely going to be struggling with my game the way it is. I can make a living and be a journeywoman out here, but I don't just want to be that. I actually want to have a chance to win. What do I need to do? So one of the first things that I did was I found a really good coach over here in the States, and we reworked my swing, and we got it back on plane, because I was a little bit always on the inside and then pick it up, a bit sort of Nancy Lopez-esque. And then reroute it coming down. So I really need to get it on plane. So I got my swing on plane. So that was great. But then I started training with Annika Sorenstam's athletic trainer, Kai Fusser. So I gained 20 yards in about 8 weeks of working with him. So that was huge. So an extra 20 yards really helped too.
Oh my gosh, that's a game changer.
complete game changer, but I needed to improve my swing before I could do that. So everything kind of came in a good order. And then when I started hitting it a long way, I'm like, okay, now something is still missing. So one of the players on tour, Wendy Doolan, I would play regular games with her. She said to me, well, what's your plan? I said, what do you mean, what's my plan? And she said, well, you have a lot of game, but you don't seem to have much plan. I said, I don't even know what a plan is. And she says, I've got just the person for you. So she put me in touch with a sports psychologist whose name was Martha Cobo. And Martha really, really was the game changer that put all the pieces of the puzzle together. And I started working with Martha at the beginning of 2003, and I made steady improvement throughout 2003. And then boom, it was like lightning hit in 2004. All of a sudden, everything came together. And the final little piece of the puzzle for me was realizing that I don't have to push to beat people. I just had to play my game.
Did you ever, and because I didn't really do this, so I was wondering, did you ever look back at the time and go, wow, I can't believe what I really did?
I still do to this day. I mean, I'm lucky that I'm still within the golf industry now. I just talk about it. And so I look at other players' games, and I'm supposed to, part of my job is to analyze what they do. And so every once in a while I'll pop up, I'll be scrolling through statistics and facts and figures, and I'll see my name pop up in historical records. And I'm like, what?
I was get in there.
I was pretty good. And I really wish that I had a greater sense of how good I was when I played, because now I look at it and think, wow, I could really play golf. But at the time you feel like there's so much more, like you've got to be better. And bear in mind, I was in the Annika era. And so it's very easy to compare yourself to Annika. And so you end up feeling
lousy.
Like exactly. And that really wasn't the reality.
But so Karen, think of this though. If you're out on the golf course, and we're going to talk about your career on the Golf Channel and how much people enjoyed listening to your observations. But if you're covering someone that's currently sixth, where you finished in 2004, sixth on the money list, you're going to go in there with high praise and talk about what this woman does well and where she's, superior. And hell, that was you.
Yeah, it is. It is very strange to think about it in those terms, because I didn't ever see myself as I don't know, not really even a superstar, just as somebody that would contend every single week. And, to finish sixth, that's exactly what you're doing. You're giving yourself an opportunity most weeks to be right there with the chance of a trophy. And it is very surreal to think that I was that person at one point. And because when you're in it, you're just so involved in you. And I think that now that I'm covering women's golf, I see it in other players too. Like I see that they just don't realize just how good they are, and they play great golf, and they're up there on the leaderboards all the time, and yet there's a shyness to them and they're almost embarrassed by their own talent, and I just wish that they could appreciate that now before they stop playing.
Yeah, it's so interesting because you had the sixth place finish on the money list, then 41st, 49th, 23rd, 68th, 46th, 29th. I mean, those are all really, really good finishes. It's interesting because I experienced the same thing. I mean, the highest I ever got in the world ranking was 52nd, and it always seemed disappointing to me. But now I look back and I'm like, that wasn't that bad. I mean, I always wanted to be the best player in the world, but that was top 60 or something one year. That's not bad.
It's awesome. It's awesome. When you think about all the people in the world playing golf, and that's you were the top 60th player in the world. That's huge.
Yeah, so, it's interesting when you're, when you set your sights high, it's always seems a little disappointing. Karen, can you come back for our next segment? We're gonna I want to talk to you about your career on television and just chat a little more if you have time.
Of course, I absolutely have all the time you need.
Fantastic. We'll be right back. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
That was the front nine. Up next, we'll make the turn. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by CarShield.
If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, any make or model, then you need to visit the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. They are the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show. My daughter and I both drive vehicles supplied by Colin and the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, and it's because we know we can trust them. They made the car buying experience painless and easy, and their customer service is second to none. Every single step of the car buying experience was taken care of for us. You can reach Colin at 314-966-0303, and he will answer all of your questions and put your mind at ease. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood has new or pre-owned vehicles to be purchased or leased, whichever you prefer. Once you visit the Dean Team Volkswagen on Manchester in Kirkwood, you'll be a customer for life because they will treat you like family. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Hi, this is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center. At FGLC here in Kirkwood, we feature a double-decker driving range, 2 large grass tees with Tahoma Bermuda grass. You want to work on your short game? We have a short game area too, which features a 20,000 square foot green, 3 bunkers, and Zoysia surrounds. Also at Family Golf and Learning Center, don't forget about our 9-hole par 3 course, the indoor TrackMan simulators, and our performance center. If you're looking for the best golf instruction, regardless of skill, we can help. Find out more at FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
Recently, my nephew called me and said his basement had flooded and all the hardwood, carpet, and flooring had to be replaced. I told him I have the perfect place for you to go. At Jerseyville Flooring and Furniture, this second-generation family-owned business treats everyone just like their family. Jared Capps is continuing his mom and dad's 50-year business tradition where honesty, transparency, and service carry the day. My nephew loved the luxury vinyl product. Jerseyville Flooring and Furniture has the largest selection in the area. Whether you prefer Mohawk and the wide variety of their product lines, I love the Rev Wood product, by the way, or Karastan or Pergo Elements line, Jerseyville Flooring and Furniture will literally have you covered. You have pets? Let Jared tell you about the many sustainable flooring and carpet options that are pet-friendly but also easily maintained to keep your floors looking great every day. And don't forget about their huge selection of Lazy Boy recliners. They are awesome and one of the biggest selections in the Midwest. Call them today at 618-936-0536 and get your free estimate or set up a consultation with one of their experts. You can also go to JerseyvilleCarpetAndFurniture.net. Proud sponsor of Golf with Jay Delsing.
This is Chris Nagel. And you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
I am proud to welcome the Gateway section of the PGA back to my show. Whether you're pulling into your favorite driving range, public golf course, or country club, there is an excellent chance that the staff there is part of the over 300 men and women PGA professionals at over 100 facilities that make up our Gateway section. I grew up watching so many of these fine men and women getting to the golf course at dawn, leaving at dusk, spending their entire day running events, giving lessons, and growing this great game. PGA Reach, Drive, Chip, and Putt, PGA Hope, and the fantastic PGA Junior League are a few of the examples of the programs run by these same PGA professionals. Go to gatewaypga.org to learn more, or to find your next PGA professional for your next lesson, go to pga.com. The Gateway PGA, growing the game we love.
Making the Turn. Making the Turn is presented by Family Golf and Learning Center. For the kids and adults who love the game of golf, look no further than Family Golf and Learning Center. Now let's get back to Jay and Dan.
Hey, welcome back. This is Golf with Jay Delsing. I'm your host, Jay, and I'm sitting down with Karen Stupples. And Karen won 3 tournaments around the world, 2 on the LPGA Tour, including the 2004 Women's British Open Championship. Man, that still can't get old hearing that, Karen.
No, actually not at all. And, particularly right now, it's that, 20 years. So I'm getting a lot of people commenting on it's 20 years since I did it, and I think we're even planning our little group on the LPGA that cover golf for Golf Channel. Grant Boone, Tom Abbott, Morgan Pressel, myself, Paige Kay, we're all talking about getting together and having a little celebration for it. And my Golf Channel family on the LPGA tour are a group of special people, and they'll make that a lot of fun for me.
And you know what? Let's talk about that transition that you made from player to television, because it shows, Karen. I was fortunate enough to, or however you look at it, I was with Fox for 5 years, and we weren't very good, and we didn't have a lot of the chemistry and some of the connection that you guys have. So when did you start thinking about TV, and talk a little bit about that transition, please?
Yeah, sure. It was an interesting one, because back in 2007, I had my son Logan, and he was born at the end of April. So I came back pretty quickly. I played an English Open that following summer, and then I rolled it into. I was going to play the AIG Women's Open too that year, because it was at St Andrews. But in between time, the Men's Open was happening at Carnoustie, and I got a call from the BBC who asked if I had any interest in doing BBC radio. And I said, sure, why not? Because Radio 5 Live is fun, and it's something I grew up listening to. And I thought, what better way to have some fun, be inside the ropes at the Open, and just enjoy covering golf. So I went out there, and it was so much fun. I loved the media center. I loved being with all the writers and just debating and talking about the course and how it was playing and who was doing what, and this shot over here. So I had a great time doing that. So every year I would do a little bit for the BBC, whether it be for Radio 5 Live, or sometimes I would get on the TV side of it for the women's game. So it was a lot of fun doing that. But there comes a point in your career where Logan was now in school, and I was spending, I was being away from home, traveling, playing golf. But when I would come home, I'd be on the golf course, so I'd barely see my son. It was getting to be a grind, and making money was hard. And I stopped loving playing golf. And I don't really know how or why that happened. I think it became having to make money as opposed to just playing the game. I think everybody turns into that at some point, but for me, it happened around 2012, 2013. And I thought, well, what's the next chapter of my life going to be? And so I already had a few plan Bs lined up, but because I'd had such a good time working for the BBC, doing PGA, working for the BBC, doing the Open coverage, I thought, maybe this is an option for me. Maybe I could do TV. So there wasn't enough work for me just to work for BBC. So I thought maybe Golf Channel might have a spot for me somewhere to do some kind of golf. So I asked to tag along with Jerry Foltz and see if it was something I could do. And I soon realized that I could call golf. It wouldn't be a problem if I was out there on my own and I didn't have a partner to help me with it. I could absolutely do it for myself. And so one day this was in 2013, I was in Toledo and I'd missed the cut. And so I contacted our producer, Beth Hutter, and said, Beth, I said, is there any chance I could tag along again? She says, well, how about we could do with a third on course this week if you fancied putting on a pack and giving it a go. So I thought, sure. And little did I know that was my audition. So I went out, I covered Inbee Park, and ended up doing an interview with her at the end. And next thing I know, here I am a few years down the line, still working, which is fantastic because I absolutely love talking about golf. I love being inside the ropes. I love talking about the hows and whys and what caused this to happen, and trying to predict what will happen. And it's just so much fun for me to be part of it, because I still feel the same emotions that I had, those same nerves, that same excitement that I used to get when I was playing. I still feel that for the other players, but without actually having to produce a shot at the end of it.
It's better to talk about it than having to hit it as we get older, isn't it?
Heck yeah.
You don't have to chase that down. So the perspective, did it change anything for you, Karen, as being more an observer or observant?
think a little bit for sure. I went from being, basically I was like a clockwork doll. You could, wind me up, tell me what to do, and I would do it. I would produce it. Or, that was my, all I had to do was worry about the strike. Everything else, somebody would take care of for me. I was a great delegator. But now, everything, I have to do all the thinking. So now I have to really put myself in that spot where I have to think about the lies. I have to think about, the trouble, where to leave it, what the best plan of attack is. And it actually is very good for me. And I wish I had this kind of perspective when I played, because I think I would have approached it very differently. I think I would have been a lot easier on myself, because I now know that the people who win aren't perfect, and they don't play perfect golf. They just do what they have to do at the right times. And I think that's the biggest lesson that I've learned. And I wish I'd had that perspective when I played, but
oh, man. Karen, that was eye-opening for me. I mean, my very first tournament was the U.S. Open at Chambers Bay, and I was out with Sergio, Dustin Johnson, and Adam Scott, and I was looking for balls all day. I mean, I couldn't, and it was just eye-opening to me that they, their hooks went in the same spot mine did.
And what is funny is that it's like water off a duck's back to those guys. Like, oh, I've hit a bad shot. On to the next, as opposed to dwelling on it. And that's another big thing too.
It really is. So Karen, one of the, and folks, I'm visiting with Karen Stupples here at Golf with Jay Delsing. Karen, we're here in St. Louis, and we have a dear friend in common, Cord Dombrowski, who is the owner and founder of Dalhousie, which is a national golf club that a lot of local friends of mine enjoy playing. Talk about the relationship and how you met Cord and Dalhousie, because I pulled up you holding the a trophy, and you had your Dalhousie hat on. I thought that was awesome.
I sure did. So it was, I can't think of the year. It had to be around the year 2000. And I played in a pro-am in St. Louis with Tim Code, and his wife Jen was there. And Tim is from Cape Girardeau, has a car dealerships there, and we got along great, and we had a great time and a lot of fun, and we kept in touch, and then for some reason I think that he had spoken to Cord, because Cord was building a golf course in Cape Girardeau called Dalhousie, and they wanted somebody to come along and to be a representative of the club. And Tim thought that I would be a good person for that, a good fit for that. And so I went along, I met Cord and had a fantastic time. Loved Cape Girardeau. I mean, what a fantastic town. Just like the small town, feel of it. But it's big also. I mean, it has a university there, and, obviously now it has Dalhousie Golf Course. And I just enjoyed going to staying with Tim and Jen. And I just really enjoyed the community and the atmosphere of Cape, and just friends there, lifetime friends there, just from my time. And Cord and his wife Anne, just wonderful, wonderful people.
Isn't it interesting, Karen, and it just blows me away at how fortunate I got. But the game of golf is such a connector, and it unites people of all shapes and sizes and walks of life. And when I go down the Cape Girardeau, I have that same feel. I'm like, you get to play this world-class golf course, and you have Cord and Ann, who are like America's perfect, hosts. They're just so kind and so welcoming. And then Billy Morrow does a great job down there too. I don't know how I got lucky enough to be involved in this, but I don't want to get out of it anytime soon.
No, don't, because it's fantastic. I mean, everybody's just so nice there, and and the golf course is wonderful. I mean, I have many a great memory of just playing the course and just loving every second of it, because it's just fabulous.
Well, Karen, as we wrap this up, what's next for you, and how can we continue to follow you on the Golf Channel and the LPGA Tour?
So I've actually got a really cool summer of events lined up. I'm about to head off to Evian, France, to cover the LPGA Major, the Evian Championship. And then I go to the Men's Open at Troon, so I get to cover the Men's Open at Troon. You can hear me on the early coverage for that. And then after that, I'm going to have a week off. I'm going to go see my family over there in the UK. And then I do 2 weeks at the Paris Olympics. So I do the men's golf and the women's golf on course.
Wow.
So that'll be really fun. Then I have another week off, and then I go back and cover the cover the AIG Women's Open at St Andrews, which will be fantastic. And then I get to be an assistant captain for the Curtis Cup, which is Great Britain and Ireland against America at women's amateur golf. So I've got like a really cool, fun summer of events lined up.
I should have known that the question I asked was so loaded. Man, I'm so jealous. That is some great. What a great experience you have coming up. It's
fantastic. I mean, this might be my best summer of commentating yet.
Oh, well, keep doing your thing, Karen. Thanks so much for jumping on the show. We so enjoy your work and your perspective. It's just fantastic.
No, well, thank you so much for having me on and indulging some good memories for me.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Making the Turn was brought to you by Pro-Am Golf. See what Pro-Am Golf can do for you. Up next, we head to the back nine. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
So you've been hearing me talk about one of our community's greatest contributors and most philanthropically inclined companies. Yes, of course, I'm talking about Marcone. They're the largest distributor of General Electric appliance parts in North America. Did you know that Marcone is also the largest and most trusted supplier of commercial and residential appliance parts, HVAC, plumbing, commercial kitchens, and pools and spas? All of that's in North America as well. That's right, Marcone does all that. Marcone is committed to supporting our first responders, all the branches of service in our military, our police and firefighters, and many more. From the viewing deck at the Ascension Charity Classic, founded in honor of our military heroes, to their commitment to Reese Across America program, Marcone is here for you and your family as well as your community. That's Marcone, the official sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Hi, I'm Adam Betts, PGA professional and owner at Family Golf and Learning Center. We welcome golfers of all ages and abilities, from the junior golfer to the experienced players. From our indoor TrackMan simulators, large short game area, grass tees, and driving range bays, to our golf instruction, leagues, clinics, and camps, we connect you with every resource to reach your golfing goals. We look forward to helping you improve your golf game at Family Golf and Learning Center, where we make St. Louis better at golf. Visit us at FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com.
Do you remember the golden rule? I'm sure you do, but just in case, it goes like this. Treat people the way that you'd like to be treated. At People's National Bank, that one statement is the cornerstone of what this bank is all about. Locally owned, with 23 locations in Southern Illinois and the metropolitan St. Louis area, People's National Bank parlays a robust menu of commercial or personal banking services you could possibly need with a friendly yet hardworking Midwestern attitude. Maybe you just want to do business with a bank whose entire team lives in the same neighborhoods as we do. If you're like me and doing business with someone you trust is important to you, then People's National Bank is the bank for you. Jason Rantham, local president, is here for you to call, and he'll answer any questions you may have. His personal cell is 314-974-2243. You can also find us online at peoplesnationalbank.com. People's National Bank is here for all of your banking needs.
For the best in Italian cuisine in St. Louis, look no further than Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield. It's traditional Italian cooking, and their best ingredient? It's their tradition. It's cooking like Paul's grandmother used to make, and like his mother still prepares today. There are no corners cut at Paul Manno's. From greeting you at the door to the pasta you'll share with your family, Paul Manno's is committed to bringing you their very best anytime you share a meal at their place. It's Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield.
A professional golfer, as you watch on TV every Sunday afternoon, never ventures onto the course without his trusted caddy. This was true for me for my entire career. I want you to think of Powers Insurance as your insurance caddy that you never had. Just as my golf caddy helped me to assess risk on the golf course, Powers Insurance can do the same for you in your busy and complicated life. Tim Davis, COO at Powers Insurance, did exactly that for me and saved me over 50% on one of my coverages. A good insurance risk advisor can help you know when to take a chance or when it may be smarter to take a little more club. Give the folks at Powers Insurance a call and get a caddy for all of your insurance needs. Call them at 314-725-1414. That's 314-725-1414. That's Powers Insurance.
This is Paul Lazinger, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Are you tired of watching your golf scores go up every year? Despite new equipment and even a couple lessons, you still fight that slice or your inability to get that ball up and down out of the bunker? Well, get ready to experience better golf with ELV8 Golf. At ELV8 Golf, we're changing the way golfers practice with our innovative and data-driven approach to learning and, most importantly, improving. We have an array of membership options where you can find the perfect fit for your golf, your lifestyle, and your budget. Whether you start in our full-service gym, the short game area that has real sand bunker, or one of our 7 TrackMan simulator bays, the team at ELV8 Golf will do a complete assessment of you and your game, which is crucial because if you don't know where you're starting from, it's nearly impossible to attain a goal or a new level. Call us today at 636-265-0557 or visit us at elv8golf.com. That's ELV8golf.com. Contact us today and get ready to play better golf.
WXOS HD1 East St. Louis 101 ESPN is driven by Auto Centers Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty and 30-day return.
This is the Back Nine. The Back Nine is brought to you by Car Shield. Now let's get back to Jay and Dan.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing, originating the show from ELV8 Golf out in Lake St. Louis, proud sponsor of Golf with Jay Delsing. That's Jay, I'm Dan. Coming up later in the show, we'll have the chance to visit with Kyle Laramie. He is the owner of ELV8 Golf. Make sure you get involved out here for the young golfer, the middle-aged golfer, the older golfer, doesn't matter. You're a golfer, come on out to ELV8 Golf.
Yeah, the beginning golfers, just come out. I mean, and the great thing is you could have a beer when you're finished. There's a bar here. There's a gym if you want to get a little workout in. It's a great place, man.
All right, Karen Stupples, you had the chance just to visit with her. I loved the interview. I always love hearing how golfers get their start, and she talked about that with her family.
I know, wasn't that interesting? And then so she started, like, you either got to have to clean up, do the dishes with mom after dinner, or you got to come caddy for me. She's like, I'm not doing those dishes.
Right. Go play a little golf, go caddy, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it was really interesting, Denny. And when you look at Karen's career, she had these spikes, and I was really interested to hear, what went right, what went wrong. And I also, what I thought was fascinating is that when I got to do television, my career was pretty much over because we started in 2015. But it helped me so much just have a different perspective on like what the hell is going on? Like,
sure.
To watch the great players hit duck hooks just like I did, miss 3-footers just like I did when the weeks were bad. It was eye-opening, and she said kind of the same thing. So, really interesting, really interesting person, and I like her perspective. If you ever get a chance to listen to an LPGA event on the Golf Channel, she really does a good job.
She's got the voice too.
Yep,
got the foreign voice. I like hearing the foreign voice on golf.
You got it, but I don't know where that came from, but man, that is a thing now. I mean, if you're the American, you're so far out.
It seems that way.
You gotta have something
But how about
else.
her story, though, when she finally figured it out? So she's playing in Arkansas at a small school, and then all of a sudden jumps to Florida State. That's an amazing story to me.
I mean, and can you imagine so how about going from London, England, to the U.S., but going to Arkansas, man?
Right.
That's an eye-opening, but I love Arkansas. The people down there are so dang friendly. But and then also realizing that you've kind of outkicked your coverage after a year and a half or so of playing at school, that's pretty impressive.
Also impressive, Davis Thompson, John Deere Classic, 28 under, Jay,
Danny,
course record.
unbelievable.
Course record just a week ago.
Unbelievable. There's scoring records just bite the dust at that week. The Deere, these guys go low. They go low early. And I tell you what was so interesting is the story about the housing. So folks, I'm not sure if you caught this or not, but the last 3 years at the John Deere Classic, the winning player has rented through Airbnb the same house.
Mm-hmm.
So last year, Sepp Straka stayed in the exact same room that Davis Thompson stayed in and won. And so someone said to me, why in the hell wouldn't Sepp rent that room again? It's because he and his wife had a child and she's traveling. And they're like, no,
Yeah.
you can't have a baby in the house, man. We want to sleep. We love you. We can't do
Right.
it. We're not doing it.
Jay, it's almost 30 under par. Do they have to change the course or make it different, or is there a way to trick it up to make it harder? But almost 30 under par is ridiculous.
When you think about that, they're almost birdieing half the holes.
Exactly.
It's insane.
Yes.
It is absolutely insane. And if you go play that golf course, I swear, if you went and played Deer Run, you'd go, what? I mean, do you think that every hole is 320 yards long and that the par threes are all wedges? They're not. They're not.
These guys are just that good. Greens were soft, so they're throwing darts at them too.
And the other thing is it's all bent. So the fairways are bent and they're soft too because it's so hot. So the fairways are effectively, the ball will never roll out of the fairway. And then the greens are like throwing darts. And so the guys are they're burning the pads off of that place. And if you went, so that reminds me of a story when I was in college and I was watching the Buick Open in Flint. It was at a place called Warwick Hills. And I'm like, the scores are always 25 under there. And I'm thinking, man, when I get on tour, I can't wait to play that course. I'm going to tear it up. Well, you go there and go, what? I mean, the par threes are 3 and 4 irons, so I could reach 2 of the par fives, and 2 of the other par fives I couldn't. And so it wasn't like cake, but Danny, it was always in the summer. It was hotter than hell up there, so the greens were soft, and the greens were perfect. I mean, they were soft and smooth, so you get that. These guys are just holding putts all over the place.
Now, in that tournament, you talked about this in our first segment. You wanted to visit with, or at least have our talk or conversation about Luke Clanton. He is back-to-back top 10s for the first time as an amateur since 1958. So it hasn't been done by an amateur in a long, long time.
It was absolutely fantastic to watch him. I loved his interview with Amanda afterwards where he got a little choked up thanking his parents. His sisters were out there playing. But first of all, what a game he's got, too. I mean, he is absolutely balling right now. But the thing that stood out in my mind like a sore thumb is that people said to him, Luke, why are you not turning pro? Look what Nick did. You know, Nick Dunlop did, and he won down as an amateur, won at Palm Springs, and then he turned pro. And why are you passing up all these millions of dollars? And he said, I got a little NIL money right now, and it's enough. And I almost fell out of my chair. I was like, wait a minute. When has that been in anybody's verbiage with golf in the last 2 or 3 years? I got enough money.
You played at UCLA. Would you even, in this era, let's just say, you were one of the top players in the country. Would you have wanted to turn pro at that point in time in your career?
Ooh, man. So are you saying
depends on the NIL money?
NIL? Yeah, because Danny, I had such a great time at UCLA, but I will say this. My senior year, I started getting so itchy to get out. I was like, I need to graduate, man. I saw so many of my friends having way too much fun, and they're like, I think I'm going to go to graduate school. And I'm like, you're never going to do anything. You know, because Southern Cal, the weather's perfect. You got all these great golf courses. You got UCLA with 48,000 students, and some of them were women.
And some were pretty good looking, too.
Oh, my gosh. California. It was insane. I can remember Pearlie and I just sitting on this place called Bruin Walk. It was this walkway that would go right through campus. And I'm not saying we'd skip class, but we might have skipped class and just watch people walk by. It was insane. But being Midwestern kids, we had never seen anything like that.
I'm sure.
Oh.
So
we also had no chance. Zero chance. We couldn't even talk.
You were just watching.
We couldn't even talk to anybody. We were hopeless.
Why do you think that we're seeing this influx of amateur players that are on the cusp of being PGA Tour players, and when they get on the tour, immediately they're having success? Is the college game that good, their preparation that good, or we're just seeing a new wave of young kids come through and graduate to the PGA Tour?
Well, Danny, you've got the advent of the AJGA, which is really a junior tour that these kids, if you have enough money, can go out and play it. And there's phenomenal training. There's places like ELV8 Golf or places coming like ELV8 Golf that are using analytics and data and helping people play and practice smarter and not necessarily it's just a wiser and it's a more intelligent way to practice. And then you've got all of this different tech. So you've got TrackMan, you've got the GC Quad launch monitors, and you've got so much better instruction than there ever was. And this is all, in my opinion, all of a wave of the Tiger Woods effect. I mean, he brought all of these eyes into the game, consequently all this money, all this innovation. It's Tiger. I mean, Jack and Arnold Palmer put this game on the map, and Tiger made it absolutely cool as hell to play.
How about the Scottish Open? PGA Tour makes a stop. Playing in that weather, Jay, what is it like?
Yeah,
You've
it's
done
crazy. Well, Danny, what do you think about having the Scottish Open as part of the PGA Tour schedule? Kind of making, we've played in Japan.
Like
I do too.
I like it. Worldwide game, let's do that.
Yep, I like it too. So they're playing over at the Renaissance Club, and it's when you go over and play in Scotland, it's the home of golf. There's all of this nostalgia that hits you, but the thing that you notice is so Danny, if it's been a wet season, if it's summertime, if it's been rainy, the golf course will green up. And it won't look exactly like the U.S. courses will, but it'll look green. But if they get a dry time, which they get way more dry than they get wet in the summer, the course looks like a cracker. I mean, it's dry and the fairways will run out. I mean, you will hit a low shot and it'll run 100 yards. I mean, that is just unlike anything that we have in the States. I mean, we don't have, per se, links golf. Now, you go to Pebble Beach and go, well, Delsing, Pebble Beach is a links course. It kind of is, but it's very seldom played along the ground. Like the ball just is, it's still played up in the air a lot at Pebble Beach.
So were you hitting a lot of, let's say, driving irons?
Absolutely.
3 irons, whatever the case may be, instead of going to your driver.
And because one of the things that you'll notice too, Danny, is they've got those stacked sod bunkering over there. And man, they are just so penal. If you get in those fairway bunkers, a lot of times you're just pitching out sideways or even backwards. So it's almost like hitting it into a real life hazard where it's going to cost you a penalty stroke. When you go and play most tournaments on the PGA Tour and you hit something in the fairway bunker, guys are still making birdie out of some of those, and most of those. So, and myself included, a fairway bunker is not a hard shot to hit, but you get those things where they stack the sod so those bunkers are deeper and they're oftentimes round, Danny, and the ball you're just not getting them out of there.
Did, generally speaking, guys like doing this, going overseas and playing in this?
I think so, and a lot depends on the hardiness of the player because it's not fun. It's always a little colder. And then when that wind blows and it rains a little, everything is cold. It's not necessarily comfortable. And a lot of the U.S. players that I believe are not, mudders, so to speak. But man alive, in my generation, Jack Nicklaus said Tom Watson was the best bad weather player he's ever seen in his life. I think he won. Didn't he win 5 Open championships,
yes.
Danny? And so, I mean.
And the one that got away.
Oh, man, at Turnberry in 2012. It's still gut-wrenching.
It is.
It's just gut-wrenching. But we had Lee Trevino on the national show last week, and he said, hell, if I grew up in Europe, I would have won the Open championship 10 or 12 times.
And it was interesting with Tom Watson. We had him on the show, and he said, hey, I grew up in Kansas City, so talk about playing in cold weather. I'm used to playing in cold weather. No big deal.
No, he used to say as soon as the snow was out of the way, he'd go out and play, and sometimes the greens would be frozen, and things like that. So, Andy North said same thing, Danny,
about being in the U.S. Open. If he walked in the locker room and he knew that guys had already been defeated mentally, he said, I love that.
Absolutely. And he also said growing up in Wisconsin, when he grew up in Wisconsin, then got a scholarship, and he's in the Hall of Fame at the University of Florida, but he was like, it's 50 degrees. That's not cold. That's just not cold when you grew up in Wisconsin.
How about Bernard Langer said goodbye to the DP World Tour?
Incredible.
Just a machine, isn't he?
It's just a machine. I mean, he's 66 years old. He's got the record for number of wins on the Champions Tour.
Yep.
And Danny, I remember right when I turned 50, I was busting my butt in the fitness trailer, and he said, you must just turn 50. And I said I did. And he and I have always been really good friends. And we were just talking, and I asked his family and all that stuff. And then we started talking about his game, and somehow we got talking about win totals. And this was back in 2010. And he had just won a tournament that was his 100th worldwide win. 100. And that was in 2010. So we know he's got to have 125 or 130 worldwide wins. That's incredible.
It really is incredible. We'll wrap up this segment, and I want to get your thoughts on this. But Phil Mickelson said, quote, "I need to let go of my hostilities toward the PGA Tour," but he also said, "I'm not sure about a merger." I'm
not sure about Phil in general. I know you love him.
I do love him. I love good villains, man.
I know. He's a villain. You're right. I'm not sure. Let's see. He's made somewhere around $100 million playing professional golf on the PGA Tour platform, and he's pissed. Okay.
Right.
Okay. I mean, does anybody need a reality check? I mean, let's go.
When he comes out and says that, though, it makes me think that behind the scenes a merger is getting closer, because he wouldn't, I don't think, intimate that unless he felt there's getting a closer reunion of the two tours.
100%. They're working on it for sure. And I had heard, and this has been a month ago now, I had heard that they were really making progress. And
sure.
So I'm sure the devil is in the details of how they're going to get them back, what it's going to cost. I'm sure the Saudis are going to wind up paying for it, and then how they move forward. Because the Saudi Arabians, they're going to want a tournament or two over there or something like that.
And an involvement in the PGA Tour every single week, you would have to think.
Oh, yeah. And that's definitely going to happen. And, when at the end of the day, Danny, we've said this on the air before, but you and I both know that the PGA Tour, we have 38, 39 sponsors, and about 27 or 8 of them already do business with the kingdom. I mean, they suck as human beings, right? But in the business world, I don't think that matters.
Do you think, though, that some sponsors, if you do have a situation where they come together, that some sponsors currently on the PGA Tour would say, nope, don't want to be involved with this?
Definitely.
You're going to get some of that.
Oh, 100%. And you've seen what's happened with our policy board,
right?
With our independent directors. We've had 3 of them say, I'm out. I'm out. I'm not down with this. This was, we have crossed into some areas that I don't, whether it's morally or how they feel, they just cannot. This has crossed the line and they've got to go.
That's Jay. I'm Dan. We're at ELV8 Golf, which is located in Lake St. Louis. Coming up, Kyle Laramie, the owner of ELV8 Golf, will be our guest. So if you have questions about that, we're going to try to answer what ELV8 Golf is all about. And questions in general about the game of golf, we have our tip segment coming up later in the show. Make sure and email jay@jdelsinggolf.com if you have a question for Jay. And this is Golf with Jay Delsing.
That was the Back Nine, presented by ELV8 Golf. Get your golf game in shape with ELV8 Golf.
Hey, Jay Delsing here, and I know I speak for all of we golfers. We're always looking to try to improve our game. For me, that means I go to one place, and that one place is Pro-Am Golf in Brentwood. Tom DeGrand opened his family business in 1975 with a goal of providing St. Louis with the finest in golf equipment, instruction, and technology. Whether you need a new rangefinder, your first set of clubs, or anything else you can think of, Pro-Am Golf has just what you're looking for. If you're a scratch handicap or you carry a 20 handicap, come visit Pro-Am Golf and inquire about a lesson from Tom DeGrand. He's been fixing golf swings and making St. Louis better at golf for over 40 years. Go get your gear, lessons, or anything golf-related where I go, and that's Pro-Am Golf in Brentwood. You can also visit them online at Pro-Am Golf USA. That's ProAmGolfUSA.com. It's Pro-Am Golf, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
This is Jim Hackenberg, founder of Orange Whip and Orange Whip Training. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing for SSM Health Physical Therapy. Our golf program has the same screening techniques and technology as the pros on the PGA Tour use. SSM Health Physical Therapy has the Titleist Performance Institute trained physical therapists that can perform the TPI screening on you, as well as use the K-Vest 3D motion capture system. Proper posture, alignment, etc. can help you keep your game right down the middle. We have 80 locations in the St. Louis area. Call 800-518-1626 or visit them on the web at ssmphysicaltherapy.com. Your therapy, our passion.
Family Golf and Learning Center. No matter your age or skill level, Family Golf and Learning Center, located in Kirkwood, has something for you. They've got it all. PGA and LPGA instruction, double-decker driving range, par 3 golf course, TrackMan simulators, a large short game green design to help you with all your shots around the green, bunkers, rough, and Zoysia fairway pitching. And now open, the Tahoma Bermuda Grass Tees, the best turf to hit from in St. Louis. It's all at Family Golf and Learning Center. To schedule a lesson or to find out more, visit FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
Are you driving an out-of-warranty car? It's only a matter of time before your out-of-warranty vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. Auto repair costs are up nearly 20% from last year, which is 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is just over 3 years old, it's still prone to expensive costs. Your car is more than just getting you from point A to point B. Traveling by car is a way of life. From picking up your kids to going to a new restaurant, cars are a daily essential. When you enroll in a car protection plan through CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file, or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers protection plans that start as low as $100 per month. That's $100 per month. They have repair coverage for up to 5,000 different parts of your vehicle. Plus, when your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, you get 24/7 coast-to-coast roadside assistance. You also get complimentary towing and rental car options. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down, and they can have yours too. Call CarShield today at 800-465-6550 or visit carshield.com. It's CarShield, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing, rated as the #1 golf show in the Midwest. Now let's get back to Jay and Dan.
The show rolls on. We're at ELV8 Golf on this Sunday morning, and we have the chance to visit with Kyle Laramie. He is the owner of ELV8 Golf. And first of all, Kyle, congratulations on such a great facility and what you're doing for the game of golf.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat with you guys today about ELV8. We're doing some awesome things over there.
Kyle, I was telling Danny, you walk in here and I'm like, why wasn't something like this around when we were kids? We would have never been home. This is so cool. Just coming in, all the bays, all the screens, all the tech. You've got a player's lounge in there. You've got the short game area with real live sand. I mean, there's no reason to leave. You got everything you need right here.
Yeah, that is what happens. We have had kids, adults, come in here. They end up staying here for the evening and don't want to leave. And it's pretty amazing to see just the camaraderie amongst the people that come in here and train and, all have a common goal to get better at golf. And that's what I love about it is everybody's mutual interest to improve their own game.
And how did this all start?
So my son was in golf and starting to get serious about it and wanted to try out for the high school team. I knew that the high school team was going to have about 50 kids try out for that squad. So we kind of enhanced or increased the number of lessons we were doing at Old Hickory with Zach Conlon here, who is a partner in the business. And I'm in the baseball business as well, and the one thing with golf that I've noticed is that there's really no facility or program out there that helps you train in the off season to get ready for the season, specifically in a high school environment with the boys' season being in the spring. And we started increasing the amount of lessons that he was doing, weekly, almost just for the purpose of getting extra practice in because there was no opportunity to do that anywhere else. So I said to Zach, I said one day after I realized the lesson really was only a couple minutes, for every hour that we were doing, and the rest of it was supervised practice. I got to know him and comfortable enough where I said, hey, do you think that the golf lesson model is a little messed up? And he kind of smirked back at me. He goes, have we talked about this before? And I said, no, we haven't, but it sounds like we've got to go to lunch. So we sat down and had lunch together, and I shared kind of some of the practices that we've built into the baseball business and what's made that so effective. And he shared some ideas that he had, and we put together a model that is thriving right now. It's
so cool, Kyle, because when you can do this at your own pace, so if you have like your son, how much does he want? He can come here and get what he needs. He can go out on a golf course and then take that to the course, come back and get back on the machine, the numbers and things like that. It gives you so many different options. But if you wanted to try to do that with Zach when he was still at Old Hickory, he's booked for the rest of the day, and you just can't do anything like that.
Absolutely. It's tough. I mean, pros trying to sell time. I mean, selling time is one of the most difficult things out there. It's not friendly for the consumer who is trying to, to buy time. It's not cost effective for the consumer. So that's why this was built. And, to touch a little bit more on just kind of personal experience with this, we beta tested this model both with my son and myself. And we wrote programming for both of us that really had prescribed practice and physical exercise associated with it. And my son's handicap went from a 15 to a 7 in a really short period of time. And my handicap went from an 8 to a 4 in that same time period. So, when you see results, as from the work that you do, it's pretty easy to get behind pushing something like that to other people because it is a great service.
So, Kyle, when you think about, take us back on, and you probably have to start with the baseball side, but take us back on how the whole thing got started, because this isn't your jam. You didn't start in the sport business to speak of, right? You were in more healthcare.
Yeah, I've been in senior care my entire career, very passionate about working with seniors. Had done that for quite a long time, built a good business, was able to make a difference in a lot of people's lives in that space, and started to kind of remove myself from the day-to-day operations of that business and wanted to do something a little bit less serious, as you would say, or as I would say, and I say serious from taking care of people. So I got into the baseball business with my partner, Brett Graves, who played professionally for the Oakland A's and the Florida Marlins, pitched at Mizzou, and he and I looked to build a development type business in the baseball space, and we ended up buying into Premier Pitching and Performance, which is a biomechanics company for high-level throwers, and we've built that business and have scaled it across the country, working with many colleges and universities, and it's just a lot of fun.
So I'm a golfer that walks through the doors of ELV8 Golf, and by the way, we're at ELV8 Golf on this Sunday. Kyle Laramie is our guest, the owner of ELV8 Golf. So I'm a young player, I'm our age, older player, whatever the case may be. I walk through the doors, and what's going to happen?
Yeah, so first question will be what are your goals? And we will take that information and get a client signed up. We will move them through a series of testing, skills assessments through the TrackMan system that we have here, and then also a mobility assessment with our fitness professional. And we address limitations in the ability for how the body moves. And then you get a prescribed program that is custom to your individual needs. and that's how you get started.
And Tyler Lowenstein, he's the director of fitness here, and you have a full-service gym. I mean, so you can push weights. There's all. Yeah, don't look at me like that. I'm not pushing.
No, I'm just saying. Either of us talking about weightlifting.
I don't know.
Give me a break.
12-ounce curl. That's about as good as I get. But what's interesting, Kyle, because of the way the men's game has gone and Tiger's effect in the men's game, this fits right with it. It's just it's all about being able to be more physically fit so that you can put more speed into your swing, hit the ball farther, and hopefully play better.
That's right. Yeah, and even if you even start a level before that, where you have somebody maybe a man or woman that has limitations, they can't rotate or they can't move in certain ways. Getting some of that core movement patterns addressed and exercises prescribed to the deficiencies that every person has is critical.
What's the square footage you got here? This place is big.
Yeah, we got about 10,000 feet here. As Jay mentioned, we got 7 TrackMan bays. We've got the fitness center. We've got the short game area. And the players' lounge. We've got a bar as well, but about 10,000 total feet.
The bar goes hand in hand with golf. It just sure always seems to.
19th hole, man. Even when on a TrackMan. I got to ask you though. Indoor, you have a real sand trap. A real sand trap. I don't know if there's any other place around here that's got a real sand trap.
I've never seen it.
Not indoors.
No.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? So
it's awesome.
Look, I mean the money in my opinion, the way to improve your game to the best of your ability is to improve your short game. So, the players that I play with that are the better golfers, I mean, these guys have great short games, and we have every component to serve a customer to help them improve that area.
Kyle, one of the things that we got to talk about is the remote learning capability. So people are like, look, I don't want to have to go there. I don't want to be tied there. You're not. I mean, so let's talk a little bit about the remote capabilities that we have in the remote learning. And then also there's a lot of success stories that have come out of here at a really straight from the get-go. Besides you and your son seeing your handicaps go down, we've got a lot of other players to talk about.
That's right. There was a girl in here, the Rallos are sisters that go to University of Central Missouri, and they were on a remote program when they were in college. But I whether you're a college golfer, a high school golfer, and a woman or a man that's an adult, the remote program is incredible.
What is it though? Let's explain it. Try to explain that.
So we'll do an assessment on you, no differently than if you're going to train indoors here at our facility. And what we feel is we're selling a program, not a facility. And so we're able to take that information based off of your assessment and write programming. You'll get an app, and Monday it'll tell you, do these exercises, do these swing drills, and it walks you through exactly what you need to do to improve your game. And that information is all on a custom basis.
Isn't it? It's just phenomenal how you've been able to take apart the body. And there's the TPI, the Titleist Performance Institute, was really the very beginning of this. And it happened, 15, 20, maybe even 25 years ago. Gosh, I'm dating myself. But there was never anything like this in golf. And then this is all related to Tiger because he took fitness to an entirely different level where he was able to weightlift and stretch, and people are like, oh, so you can actually get stronger yet stay flexible. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what you're talking about here. And really at Elevate, you've blown up almost all the models. Mm-hmm. It seems to me. I mean, the lesson model is super cool that we're disrupting that, in my opinion.
Total disruption. It's everybody wants a quick fix, right? In life, you talk to people, but the reality is, if I want to get big muscles, I'm not going to get big muscles in one day or in 2 days. So, we think that the lesson model is kind of like trying to get big in one day. this provides you an opportunity to get great by putting the work in. And when you put the work in and that work is supervised, that is how you make improvements.
The other thing, too, I want people to understand this. We're not talking about trying to turn you into some sort of data geek or some sort of techie geek here. All we're talking about is using this. It's really nowadays, it's high tech, but it's basic numbers to help you understand your game better. For example, if you come in and know what your dispersion is for your pick a club, for your 3-wood, for example, and you see these numbers on the board and you're like, I didn't realize that if out of 15 swings with my 3-wood, I hit one ball left and all the rest are going right. I mean, A, there's something in your body. B, there might be something in your club, but there's the point is there's information to be learned from there. It's not like you have to turn into some, techie nerd or something. It's pretty straightforward.
That's right. And quite frankly, I don't want to understand the data that, because it can be overwhelming. So, we have a lot of people that are very interested in understanding exactly what the things mean. But a person like me, I don't want to. I want the coaches to take that information and actually tell me what that means. So, I know that's the data is one thing that people can get overwhelmed with, but you don't have to be involved in the data at all. Let the coaches drive those conversations and how it applies to the swing.
What has been the response of the kids, whomever comes out here? What's the response that you get?
Oh man, first response is when they walk in the door, their jaw hits the ground, for me with kids, it's there's nothing better than seeing them.
Gotta be gratifying.
Seeing them
so
get
much.
better, there's nothing really better than that. See a tournament winner or a kid, Cole Packingham, who we've talked about, his handicap was a 3. I think he's a +3 right now. He's winning a ton of tournaments.
His name shows up on the leaderboards.
He's on fire right now.
He's really doing well.
We've got another, we have another kid that just, plays second in a tournament. We had a girl that has won numerous tournaments. To me, it's not necessarily just about winning, but it's self-improvement, right?
Yeah.
Always focus on a goal and the lessons that actually translates into their life long term.
What's the best way to find out about this website? I've been on your site. It is you guys did a hell of a job with that, so it's very user-friendly. But best way to, whether it's get a hold of you, sign up, look at the website, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, so go to ELV8 Golf, ELV8 Golf.com.
That's with an 8.
That's right.
So say that again.
That's right. ELV8 Golf.com. That'll take you right to the website. I'd suggest come in for a tour. We can let you, hit a few balls in the bays, in the short game area, and just get to feel the experience of what it's like here.
Awesome. Well done. Thank you so much for doing this.
Appreciate it. Hey, thanks for the opportunity.
Congratulations.
Thanks,
Kyle.
guys. Really love it.
Kyle Laramie is our guest, and he is the owner of ELV8 Golf. We're at ELV8 Golf on this Sunday out in Lake St. Louis. I guess I can say Lake St. Louis, right?
100%.
Lake St. Louis. We'll be back with more on Golf with Jay Delsing in just a moment.
We're heading into the clubhouse, and it's time to go into the mailbag. Tips from a PGA Tour player are coming up. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
Daugherty Business Solutions has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year right out of high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year right after high school graduation. That's when they begin their training. CEO Ron Daugherty believes the talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. So here's Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. It's Daugherty Business Solutions.
Hello, friends. This is Jim Nance, and you are listening to Golf with my friend Jay Delsing.
I'm delighted to welcome the Amateur Players Tour to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. The APT team has worked so hard to establish a national golf tour for amateurs. Folks, don't miss out on this opportunity. If you love golf and ever wondered what all the fuss about tournament golf is, then this tour is for you. We just released the 2024 schedule, and it is a beast. There's 21 events currently in the metropolitan St. Louis area, with many more to come. But check out these golf courses: Paynes Valley, Ozark National, Stonewolf, Ambrier, Persimmon Woods, Gateway National, and a 36-hole event on Norwood's West Course, and many more. Okay, so the courses are certainly cool and nice, but what's really neat is the way the events are run and how they are run. The APT team does a fantastic job of closely monitoring handicaps and ensuring a good and fair competition. There are 5 divisions, a year-long points competition, major championships, elevated events, and much, much more. Right now, there are over 6,000 members in 41 different local chapters across the country, and all that's happened in just over 5 years. Join now and don't miss out on the best tournament golf in the country, run for amateurs by amateurs themselves. Go to amateurplayerstour.com. That's amateurplayerstour.com.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing, brought to you by Car Shield and Doherty Business Solutions, every Sunday morning from 8 to 10. It features top guests, tips from a PGA Tour player, and the latest news and notes from around the world of golf. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, any make or model, then you need to visit the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. They are the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show. My daughter and I both drive vehicles supplied by Colin and the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, and it's because we know we can trust them. They made the car buying experience painless and easy, and their customer service is second to none. Every single step of the car buying experience was taken care of for us. You can reach Colin at 314-966-0303, and he will answer all of your questions and put your mind at ease. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood has new or pre-owned vehicles to be purchased or leased, whichever you prefer. Once you visit the Dean Team Volkswagen on Manchester in Kirkwood, you'll be a customer for life because they will treat you like family. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Get ready to watch the legends of golf up close when they compete at historic Norwood Hills Country Club right here in St. Louis. The Ascension Charity Classic will be back again with some of golf's biggest names: Steve Stricker, Padraig Harrington, John Daly, David Duval, Bernard Langer, Ernie Els, and more will return September 3rd through the 8th at Norwood Hills. All tournament proceeds go to area charities serving North St. Louis County youth and families. Sponsorship opportunities, Pro-Am foursomes, and more information available for you at AscensionCharityClassic.com.
Are you tired of watching your golf scores go up every year? Despite new equipment and even a couple lessons, you still fight that slice or your inability to get that ball up and down out of the bunker? Well, get ready to experience better golf with ELV8 Golf. At ELV8 Golf, we're changing the way golfers practice with our innovative and data-driven approach to learning and, most importantly, improving. We have an array of membership options where you can find the perfect fit for your golf, your lifestyle, and your budget. Whether you start in our full-service gym, the short game area that has real sand bunker, or one of our 7 TrackMan simulator bays, the team at ELV8 Golf will do a complete assessment of you and your game, which is crucial because if you don't know where you're starting from, it's nearly impossible to attain a goal or a new level. Call us today at 636-265-0557 or visit us at elevate8golf.com. That's ELV8golf.com. Contact us today and get ready to play better golf.
Into the clubhouse, and it's time to go into the mailbag. Tips from a PGA Tour player are coming up This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
Down the stretch we go from ELV8 Golf, and our thanks to Kyle Laramie, the owner of ELV8 Golf. And again, if you get the chance, Jay, come on out here because this is second to none of the premier facilities in the St. Louis area.
No question about it. No question about it. How cool it was to talk to Kyle, because the baseball is one thing, the golf is another thing, but they weren't his original businesses. You know,
Right.
He was into healthcare and helping seniors and things like that, and I thought that was super cool. And Kyle is I'm not sure if he's a professional, but I know he's a super high-level pickleball player.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so good athlete. His
Well, he
son
walked
is
over. Hold on now. He walked over here, so I don't know how high-end he is, because at some point you got to worry about those knees.
Yeah,
man,
you're going to go
pickleball.
down. Yeah, you're going to go down. And I know that his son is improved, like he said. So that's interesting too. When you can see that much improvement, that is an amazing motivator. I am just telling you, one of the things up until now, and this is one I meant to ask Kyle this, but up until now, Danny, the last 20 years or 25 years or so of the game of golf, we have been a flat growth sport. So we'd have 2 million people a year come in and join, but we'd also have 2 million people heading out the back door because it's been so hard.
Right.
But I believe a lot of that has to do with the way that they were being taught. And I don't think they were actually being taught well.
Well,
I really don't.
Well, you talked about it earlier, and it makes a lot of sense. The access now that young kids have to the game. Can you imagine the next wave of players, let's say in the next 10 years, what that's going to look like?
No.
It's going to be amazing how good they are because of facilities like this.
100%. And listen, when you get some of the Korean kids that have come over, they said they learned to watch. They learned golf by watching Tiger on TV. Well, think about ELV8 Golf. Think about YouTube. Think about all of the video opportunities that these kids have. And you can slow motion that stuff, and you can find out, is my position right? I mean, there are so many different opportunities now to try to learn the game and try to get better.
You ready for the mailbag?
Yeah, let's go. I love the mailbag.
You love this one.
The mailbag segment has absolutely gone haywire. We've got so many
people asking you all kinds of stuff. Some are a little crazy, but some of it's a lot of fun.
But we're all crazy too. We can handle crazy.
And you can
crazy question, crazy answer. Let's go.
You can help people over the radio. I love it. We had a question about putting stroke tempo. Tell us a little bit about what your tempo should be with a putting stroke.
Well, that's interesting because this is not a one-size-fits-all sort of thing. You have so if you watch different people putt. Who sent us that, Danny?
That was Mike in South St. Louis.
Okay, so Mike, here's what you do. You go on YouTube and here's two people you pull up. Pull up Tom Watson and pull up his putting stroke, and then pull up Larry Mize's putting stroke. And you are going to see two entirely different rhythmic strokes there. Both of them are major champions. And both of them are effective, but you have to figure out which one of those suits your personality better. Some guys like a little short, poppy, or little stroke like a Tom Watson. Larry Mize, Danny, used to go. And if you don't like Larry Mize, check out Lauren Roberts, the boss of the Moss. He was like, he'd get it back there, and I'm like, are you stopping back there?
Mm-hmm.
Or Brad Faxon has an extremely slow rhythmic tempo, but Tom Watson was, here's a guy that's won 7-8 majors, and he had a very quick stroke. And here's another thing, Mike. It needs to match your long game, right? Look at the way Tom Watson's tempo was with his long game, Danny. He was very upright and kind of quicker. It was like boom, boom. Larry Mize was like boom, boom. So you need to match it up to your personality. It needs to work and fit right for you.
What's your personality? What do you like?
I'm somewhere in between. You've played a lot with me.
Yep.
I'd say I'm a little longer and slower.
Yeah.
Just a little,
I think so
just
too.
a little bit.
Yeah, because I try to emulate you, and I'm putting it 50 feet past the hole. I see you take it back longer, and I'm like, well, Jay does that. I'm going to do that, and then bam.
Yeah, you got a lot. Yeah, we got to work on that. Taking a little bit off on the way through. We got to back off of that power.
All right. Should amateurs work on post-round practice? So you play a round, and you see it all the time with the pros. What do? They head back out to the range. They got their own TrackMan. They're sitting there getting their numbers, and they're doing that all the time. I noticed that so much at the Ascension Charity Classic, how guys finished up their round and then immediately went to the range. What about amateurs? Should they do that?
Absolutely, but I mean, you don't need a TrackMan. That's a $25,000 piece of equipment. You don't need a TrackMan, but pay attention. And maybe this is the answer too. Maybe chart your rounds a little bit. And it doesn't have to get crazy detailed. I'm not talking about spending even 30 minutes, but sit down, have lunch or have whatever you're going to have a beer or relax, and make a note of how many putts you had. Make a note of how many greens you hit. I mean, and then make a note of how many fairways you hit. And I mean, there's got to be a correlation to hitting fairways and greens, right? I mean, it's way easier to hit a green from the fairway than it is the rough. And then you can also go to the par threes. Are you putting them on the green on a par three? Because there's no rough there, and you get to tee the ball up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Danny, I tell you this all the time, and folks, the golf ball holds all the answers. Meaning, when the ball is curving a certain way, your club hit the ball a certain way to make it do that, and the answer is there. And the same with your putting. If you're continually three putting and your first putt is woefully short all the time, we got to get you on the putting green, putt from 30, 40, 50 feet and work on your pace and work on your touch and your feel.
I've always heard talk about when you're on the range and you're pounding golf balls, at some point you need to step away. And I did wonder, in terms of an amateur, if you need to say, you know what, enough is enough today. Get the club out of my hands and get back at it tomorrow.
100%, Danny. Have a goal, folks, when you go out there. And here's a great goal. Let's say you just had a lousy day with your irons. You hit the ball well off the tee, but you had a lousy day with your irons. Here's what I want you to do. Go to the driving range and pick out a target area. Give yourself a decent amount of room between the left edge and the right edge. So you've got to put 5 shots in that area, okay, with 2 or 3 different clubs. And once you get to that, walk away, because it'll make you feel like you accomplished something. And I can remember I used to do this all the time with my driver, because I drove it really long but really crooked, and I'd have to hit 15 drives in the fairway. And sometimes it took me 50 drives to do that.
But just get the feel back.
Absolutely. And it also gives you confidence. And then after you pipe one, you're going to want to get right back on the horse and see if you can, duplicate that feel.
Here is Tom in Kirkwood. He has a question about side hill lies. Says, Jay, I cannot hit out of a side hill lie, or hit it and get it and clip it. I can't do it. What's some advice that you would have there for Tom?
Okay, so first of all, that's a great question, Tom, and I'm so surprised that it hadn't been asked before. But what happens is, and this is the other thing, Danny, that happens to us all the time. We go in the driving range and we're hitting into a field. We're hitting into a 100-yard wide, 200-yard wide field without any consequences, right? And then all of a sudden we get to the first tee and like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
There's water to the right, or there's OB over here, and then all of a sudden, so some of your practice, if you can figure out a way to make it consequential so that you don't just go, oh, well, I'll just pull another ball out. Now, that will help. But these side hill lies need to be practiced somehow, and you have to try to figure it out, because the driving range is not where it's at, because that's all flat lies. When you get a chance to go out and let's just say you're going after dinner and you're going to go play 9 holes, get out there and hit a few balls off the side hill lie. So when that ball's above your feet, so that means you're nearly swinging this thing, D, like a baseball bat. And say it's waist high or knee high. The thought of a normal golf swing thought is not going to be effective. You need to be athletic, and you need to get club on the ball. And oftentimes you're going to need to be choking up when that ball's above your feet, and you're going to need to be being mindful of your tilt. And a lot of times as you tilt more towards that ball, you've shortened up that distance between the ball and you too much. And so you're going to need to stand up a little taller, maybe even stand a little further away from the ball. And then you got to realize that swing has got to come in much, much flatter to get that hit. You don't need to know flat from upright. You just need to go out there and give yourself that condition and try it. And then even harder, is the ball below your feet, because now you can't make your golf club longer. You are going to be swinging and feel so far away from the golf ball, and is usually in rough. And so you've really got to try to figure that out. And for that, I'm going to tell you, you've got to get more weight over your feet and try to get closer to the ball that way. And you're going to have to try to get your depending on how far away, whatever iron you're trying to hit, you're going to have to get closer to that ball somehow and try and get a good, strong angle of attack so that you don't get interfered with too much with the rough.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, because that's what is the icing on the cake to screwing that up, because you wind up coming in with not a sharp enough angle of attack, and the ground starts slowing you up, and it just screws up the shot.
I love this question here. This is from North County. It is Barry. He says he's getting a new set of clubs. But, Jay, I've been reading that mini drivers are becoming more popular.
Yeah.
Describe that. What's going on with a mini
driver?
driver?
So a mini driver is just a version. It's almost like, so Danny, when I first got on the tour, I struggled with my driver, and I wound up finding in my, it was at a garage sale, I found a 2-wood, an old Tommy, it was a Tommy Armour 2-wood. So Danny, I was able, and that's basically what a mini driver is. So a mini driver is a driver that's got more loft on it, that's going to be easier to hit. It's going to be between your regular driver and your 3-wood. And so all it is a club that's got a little shorter shaft and a little more loft on it, and the more loft is your friend. So if you're struggling hitting your driver, you can go to this mini driver. You can actually even with the size of the heads today, Danny, tee the ball lower and almost use it like a 3-wood. So oftentimes I tell people that ground is there to help you. You know, you can kind of pinch that ball off the ground and use that ball to kind of help square the club face up. And that mini driver is an example of that.
So Chesterfield we go. The final question for Jay in the mailbag, jay@jdelsinggolf.com. This is Steve in Chesterfield. The right tee height for each club in the bag. So you're playing a par 3.
Yep.
How do you tee it up?
Okay, so you're playing a par 3, and I'm going to say, was that Steve?
That was Steve in Chesterfield.
Steve, okay, Steve. Steve hits us up every week.
He sure does.
So the thing is, when your wedges all the way up until your 5-iron, Steve, and I'm going to hope that you don't have a 4-iron or a 3-iron. I hope that you have hybrids. You're going to put that ball just barely over the grass height, just barely. So it's the equivalent, Steve, of you having a really, really nice lie in the fairway. Okay, so that's what that looks like. So then when you start going into your hybrids, and you've got a long par 3, so you get a hybrid, then the ball gets teed up just slightly higher. Not much, but just slightly higher. And the same with your 5-wood or your utility wood and your 3-wood. Just slightly higher, but not like a driver height. And no more than a half an inch off the ground until you get to your 3-wood. And then once you get to your driver, we know what that is. That's full throttle. That's full height. That's going to be a good 2.5 inches off the ground. But your 3-wood most 3-woods are low profiles, Danny, and they don't need to be teed up that high. So that's not really a big deal. I see some people teeing the ball up higher with their irons, and it might make them feel a little more comfortable. But basically, you got to be careful, because you can swing under those and start hitting them high on the club face, and then you're not going to get much performance out of that.
All right, let's wrap it up. Your final thoughts about being here at ELV8 Golf?
Oh yeah, it's just a phenomenal place. I love Kyle and his team. Zach Conlon is his partner, and he's doing a great job. It's just, I mean, how about the gear? We both got new hats when we came in. I mean, the gear, the logo is super, super cool. It's a little golf ball on a tee with the 8 on it. It's I guess I'm kind of out of superlatives. You really have to come check it out to understand what it is, because it's just a cool place you want to hang out. It's extremely welcoming, extremely inviting, and if you like golf even a little bit, you're going to love it.
Our thanks to the folks at ELV8 Golf. Jay, that does it for another show. And how do we end it?
Hit it straight, St. Louis.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing. Brought to you by Car Shield and Doherty Business Solutions. Every Sunday morning from 8 to 10. It features top guests, tips from a PGA Tour player, and the latest news and notes from around the world of golf. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
Hi, this is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center. At FGLC here in Kirkwood, we feature a double-decker driving range, 2 large grass tees with Tahoma Bermuda grass. You want to work on your short game? We have a short game area too, which features a 20,000 square foot green, 3 bunkers, and Zoysia surrounds. Also at Family Golf and Learning Center, don't forget about our 9-hole par 3 course, the indoor TrackMan simulators, and our performance center. If you're looking for the best golf instruction, regardless of skill, we can help. Find out more at FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
Recently, my nephew called me and said his basement had flooded and all the hardwood, carpet, and flooring had to be replaced. I told him I have the perfect place for you to go. At Jerseyville Flooring and Furniture, this second-generation family-owned business treats everyone just like their family. Jared Capps is continuing his mom and dad's 50-year business tradition where honesty, transparency, and service carry the day. My nephew loved the luxury vinyl product. Jerseyville Flooring and Furniture has the largest selection in the area. Whether you prefer Mohawk and the wide variety of their product lines, I love the Rev Wood product, by the way, or Karastan or Pergo Elements line, Jerseyville Flooring and Furniture will literally have you covered. You have pets? Let Jared tell you about the many sustainable flooring and carpet options that are pet-friendly but also easily maintained to keep your floors looking great every day. And don't forget about their huge selection of Lazy Boy recliners. They are awesome and one of the biggest selections in the Midwest. Call them today at 618-936-0536 and get your free estimate